Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Batman Be Vlogged, the weekly vlog series where I review an episode of Batman Beyond after watching it for the very first time. Today we are looking at episode 34, Plague, written by Rich Fogel and directed by Butch Lukic. As always, there is a blanket spoiler warning in place because I do these unscripted, and I may decide whether or not to talk about spoilers, so if you do not wish to be spoiled for the events of this episode, this is your one warning to drop ship, to abandon ship, watch the episode, and then come back. Plague is a very meh episode, so this might possibly be a short video. I've said this in the past. Reviewing something that's just average is so much harder than reviewing something really good or really bad because you simply don't have anything to talk about. Like, with something really good or really bad, you can talk about why it's good or why it's bad, why it works or why it doesn't. But with something average, it's just there. That being said, there is a bit to talk about because we have some important plot relevant stuff. We have a returning villain from this episode, some returning characters, and we have the introduction of a new plot point going forward, and the introduction of a new recurring villain, or should I say villain, because it's not so much a villain as an organization. So Terry, no, let me start that over. So the Stalker is back. If you remember, the Stalker was first introduced in the episode Bloodsport as a sort of big game hunter who has evolved to more advanced methods of hunting and hunting more dangerous prey, including Batman. Like I said in that episode, Bloodsport is a play on the short story The Most Dangerous Game. But this time he is hunting a new prey. Bennett, from the previous episode, Zeta, is back, and he has hired the Stalker to track down a terrorist organization known as Cobra, who has hired a master of disguise known as Falseface to help transport a deadly virus to hold Gotham hostage in exchange for ransom. So I want to pause here and get this joke out. I wrote it in the description and in all my promotional stuff if you're coming here from Twitter or Discord or something. But I can't pass this up. Falseface and Cobra. This week, Terry is fighting a villain from the 60s Adam West show and G.I. Joe's terrorists. The suits that Cobra operatives wear is even hilarious. It's gaudy and tacky and snake themed, and it's hysterical. Like, just that is how I'm going to forever summarize this episode. Terry faces a 60s Adam West villain and G.I. Joe's terrorists. But now Terry is put into the position where he has to work with the Stalker to track down Falseface and Cobra and stop the virus from being unleashed. And I will say that Terry and the Stalker have kind of an interesting dynamic here. Terry obviously doesn't trust the Stalker, but I think this episode is really good at making us trust the Stalker. Like, we know he's a villain, and if he shows up again, he might resume his hunt for Batman. But we also know the Stalker kind of adheres to this weird hunter's code of sorts. You know, he was hired to track down Falseface and Cobra and obtain this virus. So, you know, because Terry is not his target, we know, even though Terry doesn't believe it, that he can trust, at least the Stalker can trust Terry if Terry can't trust him. And actually, there is one scene in particular where Terry and the Stalker first find Cobra's first hideout. They find like 2 or 3 hideouts throughout this episode. There is this really great sequence that takes place in silence, as in no communication. It's just a really good piece of nonverbal storytelling with Terry and the Stalker working together, addressing each other's flaws. Terry can do things the Stalker can't, and likewise the Stalker can do things that Terry can't. And so, of course, at the end of the day, they're able to obtain the virus, stop Cobra, and then they learn that Cobra infected Falseface so that as he goes on his way and goes into disguise and comes into contact and disguises himself and comes into contact with people, he will, whoever he comes into contact with, he will infect and pass on the virus to. This feels like a step too far for me, especially because, during that last chase scene before Terry and the Stalker finally get him, the false face bumps into a bunch of people and comes into contact with a lot of people before the virus starts affecting him. But the episode ends with his capture. We never see this is where I mean this was a step too far, because the episode ends with Falseface being captured, even though we just watched him come into contact with a ton of people. So feasibly the virus should be spreading, but nope, episode's over. And I bring up that this is an important episode because not only do we have a returning villain with the Stalker and kind of Bennett's a weird case because Bennett's just a weird case because he's not entirely evil. He's working for the country, obviously, for the government. Save your comments. Trust me, I know. And just essentially Zeta was a project that ultimately went rogue, whereas now he is trying to stop the outbreak of a plague. But this is also our introduction to Cobra. Back when I had HBO Max, I started watching this on HBO Max, and I got the Blu-ray when I realized I was going to drop it. But back when I had HBO Max, I browsed through the episode selection and sort of read the summary, seeing what was in store for me. So I know Cobra comes back. In fact, in particular, I know there's a couple season 3 episodes with Cobra, and in particular, there's a 2-parter involving them. But that'll be for when we get to season 3, which will be soon. We are 2/3 of the way done with this series. I believe there's 5 episodes left, counting this 5 episodes left of season 2. Either 5 episodes left counting Plague, or 5 episodes left after Plague. Again, like I said, Plague is fine. It's nothing to write home about, but there's nothing truly bad, except for, ghosting over the ramifications of the ending just to end the episode. But really, its only real contribution here is the introduction of a villain we are going to see more of. But those are just my thoughts. Have you seen Plague? What are yours? Please start a conversation in the comments below. And remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. In the description box below, you'll find a link to my socials where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is your Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.